This is the brand new HF1 electric pressure washer from McKillans. Now HF stands for high flow. This is a purpose-built car detailing pressure washer. Again, from McKillans. They're very, very well known for making incredible accessories, but this unit ships unit only, coming in at a price of 350 bucks. So we're gonna be opening this thing up, seeing exactly what it comes with, the nozzles, all that kind of good stuff, and then we'll get to testing to see exactly how it performs. Now I wanna be very transparent about something. I know the owner of McKillans. Phenomenal guy, incredible designer, really, really nice person. So I have extremely high expectations for this unit because I know him and I know what he expects out of it. But that will not alter my genuine review of this thing at all. I will tell you guys exactly my thoughts of it. And again, the numbers don't lie. That's why I like reviewing pressure washers. The numbers don't lie. We're gonna test the PSI, the amps, and the GPM to see how this thing stacks up against the competition. All right, guys, so here is the front of the box. HF1 high flow automotive pressure washer. Again, unit only, right? No accessories included other than the nozzles here. We do get a 15, 25, 40, and a 50-degree nozzle. I actually like that. I'm putting a different size nozzle in my unit. I actually like the 50. That was a great idea. So continuous performance, 2 GPM at 1000 PSI. Max flow and pressure, 2.3 at 1500. Now, this is what most manufacturers will list. And that's what it's capable of doing, but not all at the same time kind of thing. So I really appreciate that he gives us the continuous performance right there. Warranty on this thing, 2-year limited residential warranty. So not a commercial grade unit, but that makes sense. This is a universal motor, and the universal motor is, this thing's going to be like direct competition to the Active 2.0, the big boy washer quad that just came out, the Ryobi, right? The Ryobi Automotive, which they list at 1200 PSI, 1.8 GPM. Now I didn't get those numbers exactly. I think I was in, I can't remember off the top of my head. I think I was in the 800s and I was around 1.6, 1.7 GPM. So again, I'm expecting more out of this than that for sure. Now real quick guys, I do want to state, the Ryobi is a phenomenal, phenomenal value. However, when you go from that 1.6, 1.7 up to the 1.9s, 2, you do feel a significant amount of difference in performance. So, you know, the price difference between those units, like the Active, the big boy, and this one is justified compared to the Ryobi because of that boost in performance. Okay, so let's go ahead and pop this thing open and take a look. So right as you open it up, you get 2 things. You get a QR code so you can scan for setup guides. And then you also get this, which I like. Caution, do not store or operate below 41 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius. Residual water can freeze and crack the pump. Damage from freezing is not covered under warranty. So that's something, again, I'm in Southern California. That's something I never even have to think about. McKillans is based out of Canada, and I believe, I'm 99% sure of that. And that's a consideration up there, right? It gets very, very cold. So right off the bat, we have the little instruction manual. You do have your little metal needle. Basically, all that is to, if the nozzles get clogged, that's a good way just to poke through and clear up the blockage. So here is the unit itself. We have our cord over here. We have some nozzles and things like that over here. I don't know what those are for yet. It looks like just little feet, maybe. We'll look at that. And then here is the unit. So let's go ahead and pull this out. All right, I'm so excited for this thing. I've been, again, Wahid, he's the owner of McKillans, is such a phenomenal designer. And this thing looks the part, right? It fits his thing, man. It is beautiful. All right, so as I pulled this thing out of the box, I noticed one thing right off the bat. It's not a heavy unit, and that makes sense. With the universal motor, they're not as heavy as induction motors. But let's go ahead and throw this onto a scale real quick. I'm gonna leave as much of the power cord off of it as I can so we just get a weight of the unit itself. All right, guys, so here we go. Here's my scale. You can see it's zeroed out, right? So we're just gonna lift it up. Again, I'm gonna try and leave as much of the power cord off of it as I can. Get it all centered on there so that it's not losing any of the weight. It's all on there, and it is coming in at, wow, 13 pounds, 6.7 ounces. So now let's go ahead and open up this little accessory bag. Again, there's our nozzles are in here, and then something else. So these little rubberized pieces, and it looks like kind of like feet inserts to me. So let's see here. It's just this little guy here. So let's flip it over and just see. And yes, that seems like my assumption is probably correct. But if you look in here, you have feet and it's threaded inside. So if you want to wall mount this thing, I don't know exactly what thread marking it is, but we could figure that out. That's pretty easy. But then you'd be able to screw in and mount it to a shelf and have it not move. These guys look, though, to be, if you want to, I believe that's what this is for. Yeah, little rubberized feet so that it keeps everything nice and good to go. So that's how I'm gonna run it. I'm not gonna wall mount this thing right now on a shelf. I'm just gonna put these in, and then we'll look at the rest of the setup. All right, so there is that. Now, like I said, we get 4 nozzles, and then we also do get an orifice for a foam cannon, and this one is listed 1.2. So it's not, that actually, I wonder, that seems like it's not that big to me, especially for the flow, but we'll test that and make sure that it works perfectly. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these in. Again, the blue nozzle here, which I really like, is a 50-degree nozzle, and it does show it's a 4.0 on the orifice size. The 40-degree, same thing, 4.0, so it's probably gonna be the same size across the board. The 25-degree, just to confirm, yes, and the yellow one, the 15-degree, same thing again. So basically, guys, there may be a slight difference in PSI and GPM only because of the angle that is obstructed. So basically how that works, the 4.0 size, typically use like a pin gauge set, and it's just of a circle, and they can gauge it that way. When we start adding the angle, which you have to elongate out, then that can get a little bit skewed, but overall they're gonna be within a few PSI, within a few GPM of each other for performance. So we should really only need to have to test one of them. All right, so now let's take an overview of this unit, because again, like I said, man, they are so good at design. This thing is absolutely beautiful. Like, what a good looking unit to have on your shelf. One thing that I want to talk about is on the design side of things. Wahid actually made videos of the whole process of this thing and how he kind of envisioned this, and want to do some, like, this is like venting on the side of a car, on, you know, on your fenders, and just kind of the wings of a diffuser and things like that. So really cool automotive inspired design. Right off the bat, right in the front here, we have the water inlet with a nice little mesh filter, and then your water outlet, which I'm assuming is just an M22, probably M22 by 14, I would assume. Connection point. Now, McKillans does make their own hoses and all that kind of good stuff. This, I will be attaching a, quick connect, so I can quick connect on and off. I'm going to be using, I don't have his hose here with me, the McKillans one, so I am going to be using my Quivr, my flex braid hose from my Quivr lineup. But it is a steel braided hose similar to his construction, so we'll get, you know, proper performance out of this thing and make sure that it works with that. But I will be using a quick connect there, which again McKillans does sell, so that my hose will connect to it. Right up top here, we do have the power on off switch. Okay, very nice. And then the handle is just beautiful. Makes it really easy to carry around. Really nice. We have the storage right up front here, McKillans branding, McKillans on the side here, automotive pressure washer, HF1 high flow. Extremely impressed by the appearance of this thing, the build quality, all that looks really good. Again, the nozzles hold in nice and snug. This actual whole piece right up front here, where the nozzles sit and the logo is actually rubberized all the way through. So it's not just an individual piece, it's all one unit. Super nice. Now, I've talked about this in the past before, and it's all personal preference here. I personally don't like it when the inlet and the outlet are on the same side. However, I've seen why he did that, and it makes sense to me as well. So typically I like it to be in one side, out the other. When you do that, it's in line. So if you're moving it around and it's not wall mounted, then it stays nice and kind of in line, doesn't get all jumbled up. Otherwise, the two hoses can be getting tangled up together. However, he designed this so you can wall mount it, and having it two on the side here makes it for a cleaner installation for his ideal setup. So makes total sense to me. Same with mine. The pressure washer that I'm developing is one out the front, one out the side. Again, I talk about in most situations, I want it in line, right? And I didn't do that either, but it's because of the mounting solution that I have in my head. So no harm, no foul there. Let's go ahead, hook this thing up and start testing. Okay guys, so we're over in my wash bay area. I've got my setup back here, but we have the McKillans HF1 on the table here. Real quick, power cord, nice long power cord. Does have a ground fault interrupt, 2 prongs on it. And then your resets and everything on the side. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this thing set up. Again, absolutely beautiful looking unit. Actually, real quick, let's put it up here. Let me see if I can tuck it under here. Just really quickly, I just want to show you, this is the active wall mount solution, absolutely great. But with the McKillans on it, it looks fantastic. Color scheme and everything looks really, really good together. I love it. Now you guys can see my Quivr setup. This is my first working prototype. I have it mounted vertically with the cleat and everything. So I'll be testing that more, but that's a little sneak preview for you guys. That one is a working unit. Okay, now let's go ahead and get it back off the shelf for ease of testing for me. I'm gonna go ahead and get it plugged in and hook up water and the hose. That's one thing too, guys, I just wanna note real quick is when I plug this thing on, it immediately goes to ready to go. Sometimes with other units, you have to hit the reset button for it to be ready. You plug it in, then have to hit reset. This one on the other hand, right, we're just gonna go ahead and plug it in and you'll see the light, boom, it's ready to go. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna be using my Quivr flex braid hose, 1/4 inch diameter, same like the McKillans one, steel braided construction, very, very, very similar to that one. Just I include quick connects pre-installed already. So in order to get this thing to work with the hose, I'm going to be using the McKillans. He sells a whole set, but this is the McKillans quick connect set, and it is great. So we're gonna go ahead and just install that right on the end here. There we go, and now we can just take this, pull the collar back, seat it over, and we're good to go. All plugged in and set up. All right, guys, so we've got everything set up. I'm gonna go ahead and take the 40-degree nozzle, just because I'm very, very familiar with the kickback and how that feels across all the other ones. So we're gonna be using the 40-degree nozzle. Gonna go and pop it into the gun. Again, McKillans also launched a new gun, or a revision to their original Swivel Gun Pro, it's black. It looks incredible. So I just don't have it here yet. So I'm going to be using my prototype of the one I'm redesigning. But again, I'm really excited to get that new one that he did. I'll link that in the description for you guys as well. All right, now let's go ahead and turn the water source on. All right, so water is flowing through. I'm going to go ahead and remove the nozzle real quick, pull the trigger. There we go, and we're going to let the air purge out. Something that's very important to do with any pressure washer, whether it be the first time you're using it or multiple times after the first time you used it. You just don't want any air in the system, just affects performance. And so you just want to purge it out a little bit like this. Then we will go ahead and real quick, I'm going to turn it on just to get the water flowing. Guys, I have to say, that is the best sounding universal motor I think I've ever heard. I don't know if there's baffling inside this thing or what. It's quieter and has a better pitch to it. It's a little bit lower of a pitch. Sounds really good. Sounds really, really good. Okay, now, with that said, as you can see, we're in volts right now. I'm just showing you the voltage power out of my wall is 119.6, kind of fluctuating right around there. So that is very important when we look at the performance of these things. At 120 volts out of the wall, it's getting a little bit more juice, more power to the unit versus if it was at 110, right? Usually they test between like 105 and 120, sometimes a little bit over 120. And then another thing that can vary the performance is how much water pressure is coming into the unit. So if you're a mobile detailer and you want to gravity feed this thing, you'll probably get a slight decrease in performance, but overall, I'm at 119.6, so we should be getting pretty much what it is true to the 120 volts. Okay, now, like I said, I'm gonna switch this over to amps now, okay? And then we're gonna get the amp reading. So again, I'm gonna turn it on. That sounds so precise. That's very, very nice. I'm very excited for that. Again, I want to like this thing a lot because I know Wahid's such a great guy. I want to like it. So far, it's exceeding my expectations. So awesome. All right, here we go. This is their 40-degree nozzle, and here we go. All right, guys, so it sort of peaked at, I think it was like 13.78 and then immediately started coming down. Totally fine, totally within range. Below that 15 amps, you're not gonna have any worries there. Again, it's very, very precise trigger pull, and that can be, again, we're using a steel braided hose. When you use something like the Uberflex hose or my Quivr Flex hose that are a flex braid, there's a little bit of expansion before it's at full capacity, which causes it to have a slight slower trigger pull. With the steel braided hose though, the Quivr Flex braid here, it's so instant on and off, it's fantastic. Okay, let's go ahead and test the PSI. All right, guys, so as you can see, back pressure to the unit is sitting around 420-ish. Here we go. All right, so it basically settled in right at about 860 PSI. Now, why is that? You may be asking when they're listening at 1,000. It's brand new right now, and basically, over time, it kind of breaks in the pump. So oil will get all the way saturated throughout the pump and all that kind of good stuff. It gets slightly more efficient over time. So 860 though, still feels really, really good. Like really good, so I'm not concerned with that. Real quick, I'm just gonna let you guys know if there's any discrepancy between the nozzles. Again, a couple PSI here and there is kind of what I expect. So the 25-degree nozzle, again, down to about 845, so about 15 PSI off. Very, very normal. Let's go ahead and go to the 50-degree, which I want to see this anyway. I think that's cool. Very nice. We're at that same 845. One note I will state, just playing, full accuracy here, guys. When I pull the trigger, I feel a little more pressure at the ends of the fan than I do in the middle. And again, that could just be that it needs to be cleared out. But it looks to be pretty clear, but that's pretty standard. I didn't feel that at all with the 40-degree. Actually, let me double check that. Yeah, the 40 feels really good. The 25, I felt it a little bit. And then the 15, not at all. And with the 15, we're actually getting up to like 870. Now, real quick, guys, I just want to see what I can achieve here. Again, this comes with 4.0 nozzles. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a 3.5 in and just see what we get for the amp reading. It went up to 14.94. So potentially, if you're getting a true 120 out of the wall, you could potentially go to this. Let me see what the PSI is here. So averaging out at about 1,010 PSI. Again, we're underneath that range, so a 3.5 would work, it seems. Again, we'll test the GPM with this one as well, just to see the discrepancy there. So I can't remember off the top of my head, 860-ish with the 4.0 nozzles that's included, 1,010-ish with a 3.5. Let's go ahead and get our bucket and we'll do our GPM test. Okay, so for the GPM test, very, very simple. We're gonna take the nozzle. This is the 4.0, the one that's included. We're gonna stick it into the bucket. We're gonna run the machine for 1 minute. That'll give us our gallons per minute rating. Again, over time, that'll get slightly more efficient as well. But we want to get these numbers right off the bat. So that's how I test all of them. So that's how we're gonna do it. Let me get my stopwatch ready and then we will run this machine for 1 minute. All right, here we go. All right, guys, there is 1 minute. Now, real quickly, I just want to talk about something. So we mentioned the Quivr Flex hose previously, right? The fiber braid. I don't think there's going to be any issue with this machine, how precise everything is perfect. The only machines that really had any sort of issue with that hose were the active machines. So they just state, hey, if you are running an active, run a steel braided hose, and then there's zero issue. But the Ryobi's, the Greenworks, every other pressure washer works perfect with the flex braid hoses, or sorry, the Quivr Flex hoses, as well as my Quivr Flex braid hose. So that's all there. Let me go ahead and weigh out this water. I'll let you guys know where we come with the gallons per minute rating. All right, so we're gonna switch this over from mode into purely ounces. Now I removed the lid because I have the weight of the bucket without the lid. That's what I have to subtract from this. So let's go ahead and put it on here. Okay, make sure it's all good. We are at 272 even. All right, guys, so I've got the weight of the water all sorted out. I know the gallons per minute. It came in at 1.84 gallons per minute. So slightly under the 2 gallons, but still insane amount of flow. I said anywhere that 1.8, 1.9 is fantastic. That's really, really good. Now, like I said, also, over time, this will get more efficient too. So we may get up to that 1.9 solid. One other thing to note on the PSI, and on the GPM. I know for a fact, because I'm going through the process with my own, the factories and how like all the testing is done for these machines for their ratings is typically after about 5 minutes of runtime. That allows the motor to get all warmed up, the pump to get all warmed up, and you get like kind of the most efficiency through, right? So with that said, after 5 minutes of runtime, it's probably a slight bump up. So I think the numbers that they have listed are accurate. There's always a 10% discrepancy between, you know, plus or minus across the board with all pressure washers. I say plus or minus, it's always minus. I've never seen it plus, but 1.84 at 860 PSI. Insane sounding unit, again, incredible how good it sounds. It's got a good amount of kickback as well. You can feel how much flow is coming through this thing. So I'm really, really happy with it. Now let's go ahead, just because I like that 1000 PSI number, 1010 PSI with the 3.5 nozzle, let's go ahead and check the GPM on that and see how much flow we lost. And that's a standard thing, right? The more if we open up the orifice, we're gonna get more flow going through it, but we're gonna lose some PSI, right? Think about when you're a kid holding your thumb over a garden hose, right? You get more PSI if you really squeeze that down. Same thing there. So because we're getting more PSI with the 3.5, we should lose some GPM. All right, guys, so with the 3.5 nozzle, we increased our PSI, but we did lose some GPM. We are now at 1.73. I believe with the other nozzle, we were at 1.84. So I really wouldn't it doesn't feel any different really in performance-wise, because when you have the balance of the PSI and the GPM, I would just stay with the 4.0s that they give you. If you do want to go with the 3.5s, I'll link those in the description for you guys as well. Last thing to do now, let's go ahead and test the foam cannon production using this nozzle. Again, a 1.2 is, I think that's equivalent to like a 3. Yeah, it should be fine. 3.5, 3.7 nozzle. I believe, I can't remember the exact ratio, but we're gonna test this, see the foam production, and I'll test the amps to make sure we're good. Now again, guys, McKillans makes their own foam cannon as well. It's available on Amazon. I will link that in the description for you also. I have my own foam cannon, the Quivr foam cannon, and I love this thing, so I'm gonna be using this one. I actually don't have the McKillans one here with me either, but we'll still be able to see what kind of what we can achieve. Now, this one, I will say the Quivr foam cannon uses a 3-step foam producing mesh, so this thing does get a ton of foam anyway. So let's just go ahead and take the 1.2 orifice that's included. We just drop it right in there. Make sure it sits up well so we don't cross thread it, okay? And then we're just gonna go ahead and tighten it down. Very, very easy. Another benefit of this foam cannon is that you can access this orifice very, very easily. We have this little fitting here. You're just able to screw that on and off and change out your orifice. Other ones, you have to sort of get a wrench on it and all that kind of good stuff, but this one is good to go. Now for the test, I'm going to be using 1 ounce of my Quivr Rogue high foaming soap. This is a dual surfactant, an amazing, amazing soap. Also foams really good, so we'll test with this. Okay, so we've got the foam cannon all set up. 1 ounce of Quivr Rogue, the rest is all water. Gonna go ahead and plug it in. First things first, I wanna check the amp reading. So I'm gonna let this run. It's gonna be a waste of soap, but I need to know exactly what the amps are to make sure it's still under 15. Okay, so foam cannon test, here we go, amps. Oh. Overamping. Okay, so we are overamping slightly with the 1.2 that's included. Not a big deal. So this foam cannon actually comes with either a 1.1 or a 1.25. I'm gonna throw the 1.25 in and test that and see what we achieve as far as the amps go. All right, guys, so I just changed it out to the 1.25 that comes with this foam cannon. So this comes with a 1.25 pre-installed and an additional 1.1 if you're using like a Ryobi 1800 1.2 PSI GPM, 1.2 GPM unit or something like that. Anything with that 1.1 GPM unit style, you want to go with something like this or the 1.1 that comes with it so that you get more foam. Okay, so amp test with the foam cannon again. This is now having the 1.25 orifice in it. Here we go. Yeah, that's sitting right under the 15 amps. So that's what I would recommend. I think the 1.25 is probably the way to go. Now, it bumping up over amps slightly like that, as long as it's not running for an extended period of time over that amps, from what I understand from what engineers tell me, that's totally fine. But the 1.25, is good to go. It's under 15 amps. All right, so now it's time for the foam, actual foam test. You can see it all on the ground there from when I was doing my amp test. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's good. Is it the craziest? No, but it's actually quite good, especially for such a high flow machine like this. When you get into these high flow machines, especially under 15 amps, because we have to keep the PSI in range with that balance, this is actually performing quite well. So it'll still stack up on itself a bit, a little wetter than it could be. Like sometimes it's really dry, but again, for the numbers that this machine is producing, that's really, really good. And now we'll go ahead and show the rinse off with the included 4.0 nozzle. Again, guys, it's got a good amount of kickback, man. It feels really nice. So again, this is why we want this high flow. It makes the rinse off so much easier, right? We want the PSI in that, you know, in this range, this lower range for cars, so we're not blasting the paint super hard, but we also want the flow to be there, and this is achieving that. So it rinses off really nicely. You can see here. Very good. Really, really nice. So guys, that is the test. The new McKillans HF1 high flow electric pressure washer. Again, universal motor, probably the best sounding universal motor I've ever heard. Absolutely incredible. High flow, PSI range is within what I was expecting. Again, if we go to that 3.5, we're getting that full just over 1,000 PSI. GPM, we're at 1.84 with the 4.0 nozzles. Again, that'll probably get slightly more efficient over time. Absolutely incredible. I really, really like it. The design is phenomenal. Wahid, congratulations, my friend. It's a beautiful unit. I'm really, really glad this worked out this way because I wanted to like it and I absolutely love it. The only issue I had was that orifice for the foam cannon that it comes with was 1.2 and we did overamp. Other than that, everything was perfect. 1.25 is where I'd go for the orifice in the foam cannon. That is it for today's video though, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we'll see you on the next one.